G'day guys. For today's little video we're going to have a look at the various different versions of Thexder. Thexder being one of my favourite games on the DOS platform. Covering them all would take a lot of time and be just nuts, so I'm going to focus on the 5 versions that I have access to. The first one is DOS, then the Apple IIgs, then on MSX, Famicom, and finally the Ps3 Remake Thexder Neo. This isn't going to be a full review of the game or the strategies for beating it or anything like that. If you want to see that sort of content, there's an awesome review of Thexder by Chris of Ancient DOS Games. So I'll put a link to his review in the description and you can check that out if you want to know more about the specifics of the game. So the first aspect we'll have a look at will be the graphics. So in terms of how close they are to the original PC-88 game, the DOS EGA mode and the Apple IIgs version are very, very close in appearance. So we'll have a look at those first. They use a 640 by 200 graphics mode with a kind of dithering pattern to try to emulate more colours. There's lots of detail in the sprites. I really like the way that they look, but you sort of get sick of blue and red. Even in the later stages with the caverns, it's red and blue. It does get a bit monotonous, but it's still very nice graphics. So the other graphics mode that the DOS version offers is the Tandy 16 color graphics mode. And this mode actually looks really nice as well, even though you lose half of the horizontal resolution. It's made up for by being a little bit more colourful. It's also very nice, and this is the mode that I recommend if you want to play it in DOSBox, since not only does it look quite nice, but it also means that you're using the Tandy machine type, which means that you'll get the Tandy 3-voice music, which owns infinitely better than the PC speaker effort when you're not using the Tandy mode. So moving on from the DOS version, there's the MSX version. As you can see here, the graphics are a little bit simplified. The sprites are a little smaller, they've got a little bit less detail in them, but they're all there, you can tell what they are. The only exception that I've found so far is the, I don't know what you call it, the spinny one, the vertical spinny one, the first thing that you encounter in the game. Normally they have a red core, and then there's a slightly more powerful version that has a black core. Of the MSX version, they're the same. And the only difference is that one takes a bit longer to kill. So unless you knew that they were there, it can make planning your approach a little difficult. Other than that, you get the drift. Things are a little bit simplified, the animations are a little simpler, but you still get the picture and everything's still there. Next up is the PSP/PS3 remake, Thexder Neo. As you can see, it's been completely overhauled with nice 3D models and shaders and all these lovely flashy effects. But you can still recognize what everything is. You can still recognize those things that spin vertically, the little red spinning balls, the little square guys that rotate counterclockwise. You can tell what they all are, and they all behave similarly, and it's a very nice homage to the original game. You're maybe thinking that I've skipped the Famicom version, but no. I'm doing a whole section just on the Famicom version. You'll see why. Famicom Thexder. Where do I even begin? How about with the fact that you don't have a laser anymore? No, you have this projectile weapon. Only 3 of the projectiles can be on the screen at once. They do aim at the enemies, but enemies move so fast that what's the point? In fact, I think this game would be easier if the projectiles went in a straight line. You could just sort of jump up and shoot straight at them that way. Might actually make the game easier than this piece of crap. You can get stuck in enemies. If you're standing still and an enemy moves into your space, you can't move until the enemy has moved out of your space. Yeah, it traps you there, and you can die from that. You can die from not moving quick enough. You can die if you're falling through a hole and bam, an enemy appears. Oh no, I can't move, I can't fly, oh, I'm dead. What a shame. What else is there? The levels have been sort of screwed around with. You get up to this stage of level 1 and it's similar. The lava pits are gone, but you know, they've sort of kept to the layout, mostly. Till you go through here and oh, look at that, it's completely different. Completely different. The enemies in here are laid out in such a way that's just brutal to try and get through, compounded with this projectile weapon. And apparently if you spend too long trying to get through it, these missiles come after you and ruin your day. I don't know what they were thinking. The graphics are simplified. They seem to be sort of in the detail level somewhere between the original and the MSX version. You can't see your maximum energy, if there even is a maximum energy, or do you just keep gaining energy until you're full at 999? I'm not sure, I haven't been able to get that far. As far as I can tell, you just use your shield as often as you want, because there doesn't seem to be a bonus for not using it. This is a really bad port. I do not recommend buying it. I bought it at Super Potato in Tokyo because I love Thexder and I kind of regret buying it. But at the same time I don't regret it because it's in my collection now. So yeah, if you can, avoid Thexder on the Famicom. Another factor that differentiates the different versions of the game is how your player character clips against monsters. And you think that it would be pretty similar because that seems like a fairly important and integral part of the gameplay, but it differs. It differs quite a bit. So first let's look at the DOS version. Here, enemies are impenetrable. You can't walk through them, they can't walk through you, you can land on them, and generally the only time you're going to get stuck is if you do something silly, like rush into an area and get swarmed or surrounded. This is the same on the Apple IIgs version as well. In the MSX version of the game, enemies are able to move into your space, but you can't move into the space of an enemy. Although, once an enemy is in your space, you are able to move out of that space. It's a weird little combination, but it does mean that if an enemy gets up in your grill, you have a chance to escape. In Thexder Neo, enemies are pretty much transparent. You can just walk on through. I think this makes the game a little bit too easy, because you could just fly on through the levels and just stop to destroy a health-giving enemy whenever you need it. Then there's the Famicom version, which we talked about earlier, where enemies can get into your space, but once they're there, there's no escape until they move on. One really minor difference that I noticed while I was making this footage is that on the DOS and 2GS versions, your laser will try to target the lava or whatever it is, whereas in the MSX version, it doesn't, and in the Famicom version, the lava isn't even there. In Thexder Neo, the lava has been replaced with, I don't know, a laser beam or something, and your laser doesn't target it there either. So, yeah, make of that what you will. Lastly, we'll just compare the music. I'll be quiet and let you judge that for yourself.
Warning, intruder.
So after doing this comparison, I'd still have to say that my favourite version is the DOS version on a Tandy machine, although Thexder Neo is also way up there. I hope you've enjoyed this little comparison. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your subscription, if you've already subscribed. If you haven't, please do. And I will see you next time.